Our topic this week is going to be on 3D inquiry. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what we mean by that and why we thought to do a second session on it. So before I do, just a quick preamble. Is there anybody new here? Doesn't actually look like it. Anybody here for the first time? No. Okay, good. Then I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on that. You all know something about what to expect. For people who watch this subsequently on YouTube, we're going to have like a little teaching, a little exploration, some guided practice first, and then there'll be a space to do a short exercise to explore what we're looking into. So this is a session dedicated to the practice of inquiry, to really both raising awareness of the practice of inquiry. And in each session, we kind of focus on a particular piece, a particular element of the practice. So in my book, In Diving in the Inner Ocean, I introduced the two things, really, the dynamics of the practice and then the three centers. So the dynamics of the practice really talk about how to inquire. What are the kinds of questions? What are the kinds of ways of engaging with your inner world that might come up as you're discovering where you are, as you're just exploring and discovering what's going on for you and what's true. The second part of it was more focused on giving a sense of sort of some of the terrain of the inner world. And we looked at that in terms of three broad layers of experience. So sensations, the kind of sensations and felt sense and body of experience, really. And then feelings, so the heart and the whole realm of the heart and emotions and feelings and moods and all of that. And then the third is, of course, the mind and the meanings. So we can think of these three dimensions, the heart, the mind, and the body, as sort of three fundamental dimensions of experience. And you can take any experience, anything that you're having, anything that's arising for you, and you can notice what's happening in those three different domains. The feelings of it, the meanings of it, and the sensations, the kind of felt sense of it. So back in October 22, I think it was, we did a dive in with Dom where we just touched on those three dimensions, right? Just shone a little light on contemplating our inner world through the lens of those three dimensions and the importance in our inquiry of including all three of them. And I did all of that just around the time that I was launching the first 3D inquiry course, which at the time was a live course. And so now, sometime later, and I might say sometime later than perhaps originally anticipated, we're going to be launching soon a 3D inquiry course as a pre-recorded course, so as a self-paced course that you can do yourself and that anybody can do who's done the first inquiry course. And so it seemed like a good moment to revisit this topic of 3D inquiry, and this time we're going to go more deeply into it. So not just a question of recognizing that in fact there are these three dimensions and that our inquiry needs to encompass all of these three dimensions, but looking into how intimately connected they are, how essentially they make up really one experience. It's all one experience. And we can look at it through these different lenses. So we'll be looking a little bit into how practically to do that in your practice. So we're going to begin as we usually do with a short practice. And the practice will hopefully bring some of this out for you. So we're going to begin with a sensing practice. And I'm going to invite you to find a comfortable seat, a comfortable position for doing your sensing practice. It doesn't have to be like a formal meditation position, but just somewhere that's sort of comfortable for you to be in touch with your body. You can let your eyes close and then begin to turn towards yourself. right? Remember that friendly interest as you're approaching yourself, approaching your experience, not knowing what you're going to find, and just wanting to be as open and curious and friendly towards whatever might be showing up for you today in this moment. Just notice how you're feeling at the start. And how are you feeling? What kind of feelings are around or present for you at the moment? Whatever that might be, giving a little space to it. Noticing your energy levels, noticing the state of your mind, whether it's preoccupied or quiet, whatever you can tell. And then bring your felt sense attention down to your right foot. You want to begin by sensing into your right foot. And as you're sensing into your right foot, you're getting in touch with whatever you can be aware of there. Like the experience of the right foot is waking up. And usually in our sensing practice, we're getting in touch. And I'm going to ask you to add something to that, which is to really notice what's there. So not just to sense it, but to see what you can recognize. See if you can be clear about what you're experiencing there. So maybe you experience the pressure of your foot against the floor, your toes, the temperature of your foot. All kinds of things might be there for you to be in touch with them. You want to sense into them and notice them, recognize them with as much clarity as you can. Just getting a little more clear. And then sense into your right ankle and your right lower leg. Now, what can you get in touch with there? Sensing the sensations, physical sensations, subtle sensations, whatever you notice. Sensing it as deeply as you can, as immediately as you can. And then let yourself get a little more clear about it. Like, what is it? What are you sensing? What can you recognize? If you become conscious in your right lower leg, what could you say about it? And then sensing your right knee and your right upper leg. Notice how that is. Sensing the sensations of that right upper leg all the way up to your right hip, your right buttock. So you're getting immediately in touch with whatever you sense, sensing it directly, allowing your consciousness to fill your right upper leg. And then taking another moment to get a little clearer about what you're sensing there. To sense it as clearly as you can. And then sense the whole of your right leg, from the toes all the way up to the hip. Allowing your consciousness to fill your right leg. To be conscious of the experience of your right leg. And then to be a little more conscious, more clear. Even if all you can say is, gosh, right now it feels really vague. I can't really tell what I'm experiencing there. right? That might be exactly what you can recognize in the moment. Or maybe in the moment, as you're really clear about it, you can just sense the whole shape of the leg, the whole flow of sensation through it. So you don't have to make anything happen that's not happening, but you're allowing yourself to be as clear as you can with it. And then shift your attention to your right fingers, your right hand and wrist. And get in touch with that. How is it to get in touch with your right hand? As fully, immediately, palpably as you can. To sense it, and then also to be conscious of it, to be conscious of what you're sensing. Recognize it. To recognize what's it like. Does it feel clear or murky or amorphous or defined, fluid, aches and pains? Sense your right forearm and your right elbow. Allowing your consciousness to fill the right forearm and elbow. Noticing what you encounter there. And then filling up the right upper arm and shoulder. So you're getting immediately in touch with the sensate experience of your right shoulder, your right upper arm. Sensing it. And then seeing how it is, like what you can say about that sensation. What do you find there? How could you describe it? Can you sense it a little more clearly, a little more exactly? And then sense the whole of your right arm. It's the experience of your right arm, from the fingers to the shoulder. What's it like to be conscious in the totality of your right arm? Conscious of your right arm. Like the whole right arm is conscious. And then sense both your right arm and your right leg. Right arm, right leg. So you're sensing it. Then seeing what it's like, how you could describe it. And now notice how you're feeling. How are you feeling? How is it affecting you to be doing this? Whatever that might be. Whether you're feeling curious or peaceful or frustrated or anything. And then let your attention come across to your left shoulder and start sensing into the left shoulder, the left upper arm. So much to sense there. You're letting yourself take the time to sense, to get in touch and to recognize a bit what you're sensing. Sensing the arm, shape of it, form of it, the quality, the texture, the experience of it. And then sensing your left elbow and left forearm. Letting your consciousness fill your left forearm, your left elbow. Noticing, what do you get in touch with? What's the experience that begins to emerge into your consciousness as you sense your left forearm? And you can do this in a relaxed, easy way. You don't have to make an effort. You're concentrating, you're focusing. And see if you can do so without strain. And then sense your left wrist and your left hand. Move them a little if you like to sense them. Yeah, sensing shape, texture, the size, or the temperature, the aches and pains, whatever your hand is touching. Recognizing it, seeing how it is. What's it like to feel your left wrist and left hand? And then sense the whole of your left arm from the shoulder all the way down to the fingers. Sensing the sensations of it. Being conscious of what it's like, what you can actually sense there. Does it feel strong or weak, or there's something to recognize? And notice how you're feeling. Like as you move, maybe make a little movement with your left arm. Like, how do you feel? What sort of feeling does it give you? And then come to sensing your left hip and buttock. Connecting with that part of your body. And your left upper leg, your left thigh. Left knee. And down your left lower leg. Ankle. Getting more in touch. More aware, more in touch. More sensately close to, into, as clearly as you can. Recognizing with what's there with as much precision as you can. And into your left foot and toes. Contact with the ground. And sense your left leg from the hip to the toes. Sense it. And then sense your left arm and your left leg together. So you're sensing, and notice what you're sensing. What's it like? So you feel your left arm and left leg. What's it like to be in touch with them? How does it affect you? How does it make you feel? How clear can you be about what you're sensing? And then sense both arms and both legs. Sensing your arms and legs, and sense the whole of your body, especially your arms and legs. So what's it like to be conscious of your arms and legs? So you're sensing them, noticing what you're sensing, kind of waking up to what is there to be sensed. Sensing as clearly and precisely as you can. Being as clear as you can be in this experience of sensing your arms and legs. And feeling, noticing how you're feeling. How clear can you be about that? Bringing the same kind of clarity to your feeling. Sensing, feeling, recognizing. And then add listening. Same way, kind of. Begin just with the sensing, the listening itself, right? Listening is a kind of, it's a sensory experience, right? So let yourself listen. Listening as consciously as you can. And then as you do that, like see what's it like to be conscious in your listening. Consciously listening. Conscious of the experience of listening. Perhaps conscious of what you're hearing, all the different sounds, the whole soundscape, like being conscious in the soundscape. Noticing how that affects you. How does that make you feel? Letting the sound fill your consciousness fill the sound. So you're sensing and you're listening and you're feeling and you're conscious. And then when you're ready to, you might let your eyes begin to gently open. Just gently open and begin looking. Again, first just looking. Visually sensing your environment. Letting it come into your awareness, come into your consciousness. And then seeing what's it like? How is it to be conscious of your looking, in your looking? How clearly are you looking? Can your experience of looking be really clear? Really clear about what you're seeing, clear in each thing you look at, recognizing it. And then noticing how it makes you feel to be looking consciously. How does it affect your feeling state? It may bring up fear, may bring up excitement, may bring up just openness. You can see. How do you feel? So now you're sensing, looking, listening, and consciously recognizing and feeling. Right. So that's three-dimensional. Sensing and feeling and recognizing, knowing. So I'm curious, pop a word in the chat. What's that like for you? A word or more than a word, whatever you'd like to share. What's it like to be including all of those dimensions in your experience? Sensing the feeling and the consciousness, the recognizing. Interesting. Lightness in the body. Brilliant. Slowing down. Notice more here. Yeah. Right. Right. Hard to identify and articulate. Yeah. Great that you can just recognize that. Kind of opening up the channels. Feeling fully embodied. Yeah. So as we're learning to inquire, and it's really useful. It's a useful kind of stage to go through, to sort of focus at times, sort of piecemeal on these different dimensions of our experience, to really notice, oh, am I in touch with my feelings? Right? When I'm hanging out with myself, when I'm inquiring, when I'm just being in touch and exploring where I am, do I include that feeling dimension? That ranges from all the challenging emotions, anger, fear, sadness, all the way through to the sort of experiences of love, the affective qualities of all of the aspects of our nature. Feelings of courage or delight, freedom, confidence or value, spaciousness. All of these things kind of have an affective tone to them, like a way that it makes you feel that is not just the sensation of it, not just the meaning of it, but is the feeling of it. Even if it's a very subtle feeling, or even if it's no feeling, it's like sometimes you feel something like spaciousness, like, oh, I just feel incredibly spacious, like there's just no feelings at all. Right? But it feels good in a very light, free way, right? No feeling, but something still implicitly free and good about it that you can feel. So it's good to zoom in on that dimension sometimes. And then it's good to zoom in sometimes on our sensate experience, to really get in touch with, are we in touch with our bodies, right? Because everything that you inquire into, everything shows up in your body in some way or another. Right? Every reaction that you have comes from a sense of self, and that sense of self has some feeling of embodiment, right? Everyone without exception. So you can always sense into your body and feel like, what's the shape of my body? Where are the tensions? What are the Where's the energy flowing? Where's it contracted? What's getting activated? How's my posture sort of shifting? Like I get all energized and alive. I notice I'm sitting up straight more, or, oh, I feel like I'm just kind of collapsing into a little puddle, right? So every state that you have, every is going to show up in your bodily expression, in the sensations of your body, the textures of your consciousness of your body. So you know all that. You have some sense of that, many of you by now. Feel joy. It kind of has a sensation of lightness that often you feel in your chest, right? It feels light and bubbly. Then it kind of spreads up into your head and makes you feel giddy, right? Those are sensations. Yeah. So at some time, we need to be able to include those, include the sensations. And then we need to be able to include our mind, right? The mind is not left out of inquiry. Inquiry is all including our mind, using our mind. So our capacity to actually recognize what we're experiencing. And then the ideas and thoughts and beliefs and associations that we have with it. So we got to at times look into that. Like, oh, I'm having this feeling, but I wonder, what do I think about that? I'm starting to feel sad. Well, I don't think sadness is a good thing. I experienced sadness in the past, and that was not a good thing. So actually, one of my ideas is that sadness is, I should not go there because no good things come out of feeling sadness. So we might have those kind of ideas or associations. And our mind, it has the ideas and the beliefs and or our expectations that we have, right? And it also includes, just our very capacity to recognize what we're experiencing. Like, is one thing to feel the feeling of sadness, is another thing to be able to recognize, I'm actually feeling sadness. This is actually what I'm feeling, right? To be clear about it and precise about it. And so our mind is engaged in that recognition of our experience, to be able to recognize what we're experiencing and what it's about. I'm feeling sad, and as I hang out with the sadness, I can find out, well, what is this sadness actually? What's making me sad? It has a meaning to it. So our mind is involved in all of that recognition. So these are kind of the three dimensions. And in a way, part of the first thing about 3D inquiry is that we got to build our capacity in all of those dimensions, right? Because if we can't really get in touch with our feelings, right, and feel our feelings, then it's going to be very hard to really understand what's going on in our experience, right? Sort of walking around feeling a sort of feeling a lump of like concrete in your chest, like a lump of stone in your chest. You're like, well, I don't know. I just feel the stone in my chest. I don't really know what it means. I don't know what it's about. And something happened the other day. How do you feel about what happened the other day? I don't know. I don't really feel anything. Okay, let's hang out with that, right? Let's actually stay with that and find out about that feeling. And you kind of stay with it for a long time, and eventually you're like, oh, but actually I feel kind of sad and heavy about it. Oh, something starts shifting in your chest, right? The sensations of your chest start moving, because you've got to be able to feel and to recognize, yes, actually there's a feeling there, right? That really touched me in some way, and that's significant. See people walking around and they're like mad as hell about something, but they don't even recognize it themselves. They're just walking around sort of with this tight, slightly brittle feeling to them, and you hang around them and you feel like you have to walk on eggshells, right? And it's all superficially, it all looks fine, right? And they're not recognizing that underneath something, they're really mad. So they're mad in the American sense, angry. They haven't recognized their anger. Allow themselves to actually feel it, Oh, yeah, I got really pissed off about that. I can feel this anger. And so we need to have our facility in all of these different domains because, yeah, as I say, otherwise your experience can't really unfold. Some people are much better with different ones, right? Some people are great at feelings, but they don't necessarily sense it, the kind of felt sense of it. And they don't necessarily recognize the meaning of it. It's like, okay, yeah, you're angry. Well, like, what's it about? Why, how come that's here? Right? That's not just a random, meaningless feeling. It's here for a reason. There's something to understand. Some people will be able to tell you the whole meaning, the whole story, whole lots about the story and what's going on and all the rest of it, but they might not be in touch with how it's actually showing up in their body. And that's a crucial piece of information that'll be missing. Right? They can go on and on and on about the story, but the inquiry is not going to really unfold. Your condition is not really going to unfold and take you deeper unless you're also recognizing how you're feeling about it and like how it's showing up in your body, like what it makes you want to do. And, yeah, the sensations of. So if the first part is just recognizing the reality of these three dimensions, the second part is recognizing that actually these are not separate, right? It's not like, oh, I can look at my thoughts and then I must look at my feelings and then I must look at my sensations as if these are three completely different, unrelated things, right? Sometimes it can feel like that. Oftentimes, especially if we're not used to sensing our bodies, you'll sense into something in your body and you have no idea what it has to do with how you're feeling or what's going on in your mind, what the story is about what's happening. But in fact, they are all intimately connected. I think that's one of the reasons that people at first don't take a lot of time to really sense their body because they don't think it's giving them anything useful. They don't think there's anything really interesting there that is relevant to the issue or to the story or to the feeling, the emotional, whatever that's going down. But in fact, they are all deeply, deeply connected. So you can start with a conviction that you have. Yeah, well, things always go like this for me. The world's a tough place. The world is tough. Reality is tough. We'll just have to suck it up, right? That's a conviction. You might have that as a deep as a deep kind of conviction that you just believe and you see it as a belief. But actually, when you really feel into it, that kind of conviction, right, will probably show up in your body at some point. You'll be able to sense it. Like you can sense it as a density in your head. You might actually be able to feel this tight kind of density in your head as you feel that unshakable kind of conviction. Or you might notice that you're having a whole lot of mental activity going on. And people think, oh, it's just my mind. It's just mental activity. My mind is going blah, 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 blah. Well, if you sense yourself, you might find your mind is going blah, 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 blah. And as you sense yourself, you might notice, oh, I begin to feel there's like an iron band around my head, like some kind of tension locked in there around my head that's like really like painful and feels physically difficult to feel. And my head feels contracted and tight. You might wonder, well, how am I feeling? Like, I wonder what's making this happen, all this chatter in my mind and this tension in my head. And you sort of contemplate that and you realize, oh, I'm actually feeling anxious, some kind of anxiety. And I hadn't recognized that. So that mental activity is connected directly with various sensations, various felt sensations, and turns out it's connected directly with various feelings. There are feelings going on that are making that happen. Every time you have a whole lot of mental activity going on, you can check out, oh, how am I feeling? Like my mind's going 19 to the dozen. I wonder what's making that happen. And you will probably find there's some kind of feeling involved. Some part of you is reacting in some way. Maybe it's angry, maybe it's sad, it's afraid, something going on, meaningful. And that's what makes your mind get so busy. And it will show up in your felt sense. Right? Oh, as you feel into that, you recognize, oh, I feel actually there's some part of me is like really, really afraid. And as I recognize that, I feel the scrunching up in my belly. Right? My belly kind of contracts. And there's a feeling of like losing the ground. There's no ground here. So my point is that you can start from anywhere. You can start with a feeling. You can start with a sensation. You can start with a mind, something in your mind, a recognition. And you can fill that out, experience that more fully, feel the sensations of it, whatever. If it's a sensation, really get to know it, get to feel the what of it and to see it. And if it's a feeling or if it's something happening in your mind, some recognition. And then you can bridge to the other dimensions. So if it starts off as a sensation, you can find out what's the feeling here? What's the feeling connected with this? Like, how does this make me feel? What kind of feeling is here as I'm in touch with this tension? As I let this tension happen, or as I let this expansion in my body happen, what's the feeling? And what's it about, right? And similarly, from a feeling, you can find the sensation of it in your body. And you can find out the meaning of it, like what's making this feeling happen. It has a meaning. And similarly from the mind. So this is a way to kind of make your inquiry much richer, much fuller, much more three-dimensional. Right? To begin with any one of those elements and then to really practice including the others. And it's not something you have to do all the time, but it's something that once in a while might be useful to do to begin to recognize more how everything is all part of one experience. Yeah, it's not separate. So I want to give you a little exercise to do, and it's a very simple exercise. Well, kind of a simple exercise. Yeah. So I want you to think of something that maybe a situation in your life or something in your process, something that brings up feelings for you, something that you have feelings about. Yeah. Hopefully you can think of something. Something that brings up feelings. And I want you to take then a few minutes to just talk about it. Talk about the situation or the issue or it can be a positive feeling or a reaction. It doesn't matter. Maybe it's someone you love. Talk about the person you love, right? Or maybe it's some feeling that you're having that you've recognized in your inner process, some quality maybe. Or something that brings up a reaction. Reactions are good. It's like an interesting thing to practice with. And start with the reaction. So talk about the situation or talk about whatever it is that sets it off. So that's looking into the meaning of it. Like, what is it? And then talk about the feeling itself. Like, describe the pure experience of the feeling itself. What's that like? Right? So if you let yourself, as if you were describing the feeling to somebody who's never had it before, right? Just let yourself explore it and feel into it and let yourself have it, right? And then go into the body of it. Like, as you're allowing this feeling, like, what happens in your felt sense? Like, maybe it makes your posture want to change in a certain way, right? Or maybe it brings up certain sensations as you're in your body as you're talking about this feeling and feeling it. Yeah. So to deliberately take the time to include the body and the felt sense, to bring some clarity to recognizing that. And then talk a little more about just the meanings of it, like what's it about? You just get curious about it, like, oh, what is this feeling about? So you're touching on the three dimensions, right? I'm inviting you to take some situation that brings up a feeling or brings up feelings, and then just to touch into these three dimensions, to notice the feeling, the experience of the feeling itself, the sensations of it, and the meanings, right? What it's about. Okay? So you're just going to have 5 minutes. It's not long, but just to kind of hang out with some feeling experience in this way. So you're going to be in a breakout room with one. How are we doing for time? Yeah, let's do it with one other person. You'll each have 5 minutes. So you just take 5 minutes to explore, like I've outlined here. And we'll add on an extra couple of minutes, and then we'll be back here. And let's aim to be back here sort of just after past. Right. Actually, you know what I'm going to have you do? I have you take 5 minutes each, and then take 5 minutes to discuss, right? Just discuss together. What was it like to do that? How was it to intentionally include the meanings, the mind, the feelings, the heart, and the sensations in the body? What did you learn? What did you discover? Was one easier than another? Let's see, however it was. If you couldn't get in touch with the sensations at all, you just say that, look into that a bit. Right. So 5 minutes each of inquiry. Remember, the witness is just silent when the person is inquiring, and then 5 minutes discussion. And we will be back here then, let's say at 30, let's say about like 35, 36. So you got a few minutes extra to say hello and connect. All right, enjoy the exploration, and see you back in a bit. All right, welcome back, everybody. So let's have some discussion, some sharing. I'm curious to hear how that was for you. What did you find out? How was it to explore in that way? How was it to bring in all the different dimensions? So whatever your experience was, if it was easy or just confusing, or I'm curious what you have to share. Yeah, Diana. Hi, Diana. You're on mute still there, yeah. You want to unmute yourself.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I'm really grateful for that exercise, because I realize how, I get stuck in stories very easily. And I often don't bother with getting into the bodily sensations.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of having an exercise where that is the encouragement, is to stay with and explore it.
Mm-hmm.
I realize how little I do it.
Oh, okay.
I get so tied up with talking about the situation I'm in, and
yes,
and not really. It's not very productive exploration.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the effect? How was it? What happened as you got a bit more in touch with the felt sense or the feeling? Yeah,
What
how was
happened?
it? How was it to get in touch with that?
Well, it's just that I made kind of I made myself stay with it
Uh-huh.
in a way that quite often the bodily sensations are not all that pleasant.
Okay.
I think that I jump away from them easily.
Okay. Well, what you said there is actually very important. So that tells you a little bit about something of what might tend to keep you then in the story, is you stay with the story because the sensations are unpleasant.
Yeah. I mean, I get a huge amount of restlessness in my legs, real
Right.
restless leg syndrome.
Okay, yeah.
And, that's about not wanting to be in the situation that I'm in.
Uh-huh, I see.
So I continue to talk about the situation I'm in,
Yes, yes.
instead of getting into the bodily sensation, which
Uh-huh.
was very, very helpful now.
Okay, so that was my sort of next question. So what was the effect of that? Was that a useful thing to do?
Oh, yes, because my body is telling me it wants to stamp and run and get out. I want to get out of my body, actually.
Oh, I see. Oh, okay.
Um, because often I will allow myself to stay in situations where I should have walked away straight away.
Got it. So the urge kind of then showed up in your body to kind of stamp and, run and make some movement. Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Did you let yourself do that? Did you like stamp your feet a bit or kind of run
well,
around the room a bit?
I can do. I don't want to do it right now
Uh-huh.
because I've, simply by being aware of what was going on
Okay.
has moved the energy.
Okay. So even
It's
just awareness of
it,
it.
yeah, it's just getting the energy unstuck
Yeah.
and realizing what it's about.
Beautiful. Yeah,
Mm.
wonderful, Diana. That's a great example. So that's exactly what I'm talking about here. It's like the minute our inquiry begins to include more of the dimensions that we're not sort of directly in touch with there, like it immediately things start kind of opening up more. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Tom, very much.
Wonderful. Yeah, you're very welcome. Lovely to see you. Gonna see you. Am I gonna see you on Friday
At,
next
at
week?
Broughton.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll be there on Friday. Yeah.
Oh, yay. I look forward to that.
But I have to leave early, unfortunately.
Okay, good. Well, I look forward to seeing
Yeah, indeed.
you. Okay, and then we have Susan. And hi, Susan.
Um, Here is my problem.
Tell me.
My teacher is Frank, and you know Frank, and he
Frank,
always,
Adele Frank.
yes, Adele
Oh,
Frank,
yeah,
Frank
perfect.
Adele,
Yeah.
and he always tells me to and where do you feel that in your body? And I want to shoot him because as you mentioned, that is the hardest thing for me to do because I don't understand what that means. I mean, I can imagine that a certain feeling like sadness would be in the heart center, but do
Right.
I actually feel a sensation in my heart center, or do I imagine that it would come from my heart center? I'm really stuck.
Gotcha. 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 So what do you sense in your body now? What can you, if you just sense your body right now with no agenda, nothing like that, just what do you notice? Like what can you sense? Can you sense your butt on the chair?
Oh, I'm great at that. When I do that sensing, looking, and listening, I can feel every toenail and every eyelash. But when
Oh,
it comes to feeling a feeling, um, then it gets tough. But when you ask me, what am I feeling? I am feeling frustration,
okay.
but I'm not feeling it. It's a sense. It's not a physical feeling like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
feel the bottom of my foot is sticky or whatever.
Right. Gotcha. So you're feeling frustration. Yeah. Right. So you feel the frustration. And as you feel the frustration, is there like a gesture that kind of comes with it? Like, what's it make you want to do? Like sometimes, yeah. Well, what does it make you want to
Throw
do?
something.
Throw something. Okay, makes you want to throw something. Like sometimes frustration can make you want to like.
Right. Frank, if you ask me that question one more time,
Okay, yeah, feel that. So let yourself throw it, right?
yeah,
Throw him.
do
What does
not
it
ask me
feel
that
like in your
again.
body to do that? You said you're sensing your body, right? So what does it feel like to like let yourself do that?
it lets me release the frustration.
Okay. And what does that feel like?
It feels like a release. It feels like a reduction of that frustration.
Okay. So there's something good about just
Oh,
letting
yeah,
yourself
that's
express it,
good.
right?
That's good.
But does it have any effect on the sensations of your body? Like, how does your body feel?
Feels better.
What kind of better? Like, how is it?
You sound just like Frank.
I know it's such a pain, but take your time. Like, if you just chill out and relax and then just sense it, like, just see. Yeah, you can tell it feels better,
More relaxed.
more relaxed. Okay. And can you feel, where does it feel more relaxed?
The whole body.
The whole body. Okay. So actually,
The
you
whole
can.
body feels like it's just sinking into the chair a little more.
Okay. So all right. So just keep sensing that.
Heavier.
So
My
it
body
feels
feels heavier.
okay. So it feels heavier. It's the whole body. It's all over.
The whole body.
Uh-huh.
I'm aware that I'm able to take a deep breath now.
Okay. Oh, so you can take a deep breath.
Maybe I was holding my breath or
Uh-huh.
breathing more shallowly.
Okay. So take a nice deep breath. And sense that heaviness and that sinking in you. What's it like to be in touch with that?
It's nice.
Feels nice.
Feels nice. Yeah.
Okay.
A letting go.
You're going to shoot me again? Like, what kind of nice? Like you said, feels nice. Like, what kind of nice? Like a letting go kind of.
The letting go of stress and moving more into relaxation. It's always better than stress. And so the frustration feels like stress.
Uh-huh. So there's kind of relaxation, kind of feels heavier. Yeah. So what you just said right there, like we can just take that. The relaxation, right? So there's stress, which is an emotional state, and relaxation, which is an emotional, well, partly it could be both, right? It has a feeling and it has a sensation. You can feel it in your body. You can feel your body relaxing. You can feel your body getting heavy. Yeah, that's all we're talking about. You can feel that when there's stress, something goes more like that, right? And yeah, so it's just that. Like, just start with that. You just begin to recognize that any of those feelings, like, does actually show up in some way in your body, right? And start from the ordinary ways it shows up. And the more you let yourself have time to feel and recognize and sense that, like that heaviness, if you just keep hanging out with that heaviness and see what else you can say about it, like, what's the texture of the heaviness, right? You might begin to notice something more subtle about it too.
I want to ask another question. Thank you.
Yeah.
Frank has done the body work with me where I lay down and do the deep breathing. And then he starts asking me the questions and I start coming up with all these imaginary things, like what shape is it in your stomach? Oh, it's round. And what color is it? Oh, it's yellow. And to me, that's just the imagination making up a bunch of shit.
Okay, so let's just check that. Is it? So is it just you making up something, or are you actually perceiving something? Because there is a big difference, right? Your imagination can just make up shit. I can say to you, think of pink fluffy clouds, and you can think of pink fluffy clouds, and that's just your imagination, right? And it's possible that one day you might sense some part of your body and it feels like soft and pink and fluffy, and you might be able to perceive that.
So perceive.
Yeah.
Versus
So imagination, or is it perception?
Gotcha.
What do you think? Do you have a sense, or will you need to just check next time and see?
I think I was perceiving it.
You were perceiving it.
But I was much more able to get in touch with it in that state.
Right. Okay. So that's interesting. Seems to me like you're actually quite in touch with your body, right?
Well, thank you.
Maybe just that as you're hearing that question, it sounds like it sparks a reaction, and the
Yeah,
reaction
it triggers me.
frustration, and then the frustration, you know, then you just can't feel anything other than the fact that you're frustrated. Uh-huh. Yeah, so actually, so another thing you could look into there just to check out for yourself, you don't have to do it now, but is what is the part of you that was saying, well, that's just bullshit imagination? Sounds like there's a bit of a skeptical part of you hanging there. You might want to find out a little bit about that, because it seems like when you check for yourself to see, the truth is that it was perception. It wasn't just, you weren't just making it up. Right? And you can tell that. You can tell that you weren't just making it up. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Good stuff. You're very welcome. Thanks for your question. Yeah, great. Let's see, what else? Oh, John, you've got your hand up. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Dom. Oh, I am muted. Thank you. Hold on a second here. So I appreciated the exercise. I do have a question, though, and maybe it relates to the three-dimensionality of the exercise. Well, let me start with the body scan. I find it, I can do the I find it difficult, and I find it sort of frustrating, but I do it anyways because it's a part of the teaching. But when the idea comes of feeling both your arms and legs and your eyes and your ears, I can go back and forth really quickly and do one, but do I in fact really feel them both or feel them all at the same time? And am I in that position or relaxed enough to be in that state where they're all firing? Or is it just like minute back and forth?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked that question. I mean, I would say you just want to kind of intend to be sort of, if you like, open on all those channels. And what you'll probably find is that there's just a natural kind of floating of your awareness. Like now you'll be a bit more aware of the eyes, and then you might be a bit more in the hearing, and then maybe a bit more in the sensing, and then something back in the sound, and one part of the body or another. So you want to let it just be easy, right? Just relax with it. Just kind of, it's like you're just hanging out, kind of open on all of those channels, and just letting whatever's there be there, right? You don't have to be trying to like, I've got to hold on to this and this,
right,
and this
right.
at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Try not to let it be like that, because that does sound frustrating and like a lot of work, and I don't think possible. I think, we naturally tend to have one thing that's kind of in the focus, and it'll be slightly more prominent than the others, and that might float around from time to time.
Okay, that makes me relax in my body. So yeah, and I think I had that same question with the three-dimensionality and all the sense. I mean, all the because I was thinking, well, can I feel them all?
Yes.
Once you go into something, then you're excluding the other things.
Right.
And so, I'm going a little crazy here because I feel like I'm not in presence because I'm excluding other things.
Right.
I don't know.
Oh, good. I'm so glad you mentioned that. Yeah. So that's not the intention there as well. So it'll be the same thing. Like you're just hanging out, and you'll be sensing, and you'll notice how you're feeling, and, it just kind of floating in the ocean and letting these different channels kind of all be there. Right.
Right. Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks. Such a great question.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Sharon, go ahead.
Hi. First of all, I wanted to thank you for small group, because there's no constriction.
Oh, isn't that interesting? Eh?
No constriction at all now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's weird, actually. It is weird, especially with my structure. Is the kind of, I mean, I actually feel like my body shape has changed.
Yeah, actually, it looks like it has. What do you notice? How's it changed?
I just feel much more upright.
Yeah.
And there's some stuff that's happening which normally I would have a pretty big reaction to.
Yeah.
It's just like, I just can't really react to it. I just like had all this sort of drama going on, and it's like, it doesn't really matter. Doesn't really, there's just a sort of feeling of it will be okay, and a sort of lack of reaction, really, and a lack of, the feeling is, it's just I just feel very, very here, and sort of in the here, there is in my back, the presence, whatever, the presence or this feeling that I have, increasing feeling, is all over me, but there's a bit of a gap in my back, where I feel there's a bit of, it just feels a bit cooler, or a bit
Yeah. So there's definitely something to kind of explore there, right? To look at even that, like those little things, like they become very fine, like that we can sense, oh, there's like just that little spot there that's a bit cooler, some kind of gap. But for now, just to notice, right, in terms of our 3D inquiry, right, how the feeling of things will be okay, right? That's a feeling, right? How it is kind of manifesting in your posture, in the whole demeanor of your body, right? As well as
it feels like, it's a bit weird because you know me quite well now. I've been used to a lot of feelings, big feelings of grief, and I did have a big feeling of grief the other day, but it's difficult. So inquiring into space really is different. Is different.
Different kinds of feelings, right? So you're also expanding the range of your feelings. So the big emotional feelings, but now there's like more subtle, just feeling of like, oh, things are fine.
There is, and I hardly dare say this. There is a bit of a feeling of joy.
Oh, good heavens. Shh.
There is a bit of a feeling of joy.
Bit of joy, right? With all the stuff that's going on.
Which is like,
yeah.
so maybe something shifted in my heart. So now I am having a feeling.
Beautiful, Sharon. Yeah, I'm really happy to hear that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I am very welcome. Yeah, our inquiry gets so much richer, right, as we include all of these dimensions. And there is something, there's a skill to it, something that takes practice, and then also something to just relax with and include. I'm struck by that with a couple of the questions, that it is as much about being easy and inclusive with our experience. It's not another thing to kind of force yourself into or anything. So that kind of brings us to a close this evening. Nice hanging out with you and exploring different angles of inquiry. As ever, if you have any, requests or topics or questions, things you'd like us to address, or feel free to be in touch with any of that or any other kind of feedback. And look out for, I don't know when it's going to happen, but I imagine it'll be somewhere in the next month that we'll have this new course up. And I think it's going to be really good. It's 8 lessons, kind of 2 lessons each, really diving into the heart and then into the mind and into the belly, or excuse me, the heart and then the belly and then the mind. and then a sort of an intro orientation session that I think will be very revealing for everybody. It'll help you learn something quite useful. And then sort of how to bring it all together at the end. So I'm excited it's finally done. It is about a year overdue. So I haven't been good with my deadlines. And I look forward to sharing it with you. And yeah, to seeing you at Dive In Live or same time next month, whenever it is we do the next Dive In with Dom. I think Michael has put the dates into the chat. Yeah, it's all there. All the details. So if you're watching it on YouTube and you enjoy, please subscribe, follow. And to all of you, please, feel free to write comments, try and follow those and engage with those, respond to those. So that's something we're also trying to get going a bit. All right. So until next time, wish you rich explorations, and look forward to seeing you then. Good night.
Thank you. Thank you, Dom.
Thank you, Dom.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Dom.
Thanks, Michael, too.
Bye.
Yes.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. See you next time.